there something there, or is it just to impress the public?
This is not America. Charlie Hayden, here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Our next guest has been called the Elvis of cultural theory, widely considered to be one of Europe's leading intellectuals. Slavoj Žižek is a philosopher, psychoanalyst, cultural theorist, born in Slovenia. He's written more than 50 books, speaks to sold-out audiences around the world. In 1990, he campaigned unsuccessfully to be president of Slovenia, the first Yugoslav republic to hold a free election. He's in New York right now to give a lecture tonight called Resist, Attack, Undermine. Where are we 40 years after '68? The event opens this year's Left Forum. Slavoj Žižek joins us here in the Firehouse studio. We welcome you to Democracy Now!
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here.
When I asked you specifically how to pronounce your name, you said you're nervous about people who pronounce it correctly.
Yes, because but this is more a private trauma. Like, I don't like to see myself. Whenever I see myself like there on the screen, I'm tempted to adopt the position of an observer and ask myself, if I were to have a daughter, I would never allow that guy to take me to a movie theater. So,
you all said you'd be concerned if it was pronounced exactly, that perhaps that person came from the police.
Yeah, effectively, yeah, because only they really know. You know, this is at least my East European myth, that police are the ones who know.
This is a radio and a television and an internet show broadcasting all at the same time. We showed during Charlie Hayden's music break coverage of Prague in '68. This had an enormous influence on you. For an audience who would not even know what those two connections are, Prague, '68, explain what happened and where were you?
No, it's quite by chance. I was very young at that point. I was in Prague. But, okay, so that we don't lose time, there is something really tragic about Prague '68. Namely, let's be very frank, and it's something very hard to swallow for a leftist. What if the Soviet intervention was a blessing in disguise? It saved the myth that if the Soviets were not to intervene, there would have been some flowering, authentic, democratic socialism, and so on. I'm a little bit more of a pessimist there. I think that the Soviets, it's a very sad lesson, by their intervention saved the myth. Imagine no Soviet intervention. In that ideological constellation, it would have been either sooner or later just joining the West, or nonetheless, at a certain point, the communists still in power would have to put the brakes. It's always the same story. It's same in this, now you see my conservative, skeptical leftist side. It's the same in China, Tiananmen. I will tell you something horrible. Imagine the communists in power giving way to the demonstrators. I claim it's very sad things to say, but if Tiananmen demonstrations were to succeed, like the Communist Party allowing for true democratic reforms and so on, it would have been probably a chaos in China. No, I'm not saying now that we should opt for dictatorship or some kind of a strong arm as the only solution. Just let's not dwell in safe illusions. I think all too often today's left falls into this prey, which is why they like to lose. And I think this is the original sin of the left from the very beginning. And I still consider myself, I'm sorry to tell you, a Marxist and a communist, but I couldn't help noticing how all the best Marxist analyses are always analysis of a failure. They have this incredible, like, why did Paris Commune go wrong? Trotskyites, why did October Revolution go wrong? And so on. You know, this deep satisfaction, okay, we screwed it up, but we can give the best theory why it had to happen. I mean, this is to what my title, the title of tonight's talk, implicitly refers to. This comfortable position of resistance. Don't mess with power. This is today's slogan of the left. Don't play with power. Power corrupts you. Resist, withdraw, and resist from a safe, moralistic position. I found this very sad.
The second part of the talk, resist, attack, undermine. Where are we 40 years after '68? Talk about what you see as the pivotal moments in '68 and where we are in relation to them now.
It's a very nice question. Why? Because precisely apropos '68, I think, we can see how, I will use consciously an old word, ideological struggle is still going on. Struggle for what 68 is. It's the same as I read here 1 or 2 weeks ago, a wonderful commentary on Martin Luther King, how every child knows here, I have a dream. Almost nobody knows what was that dream. It wasn't just racial equality. Martin Luther King moved way to the left later. That's obliterated. It's the same with 68. If you ask people today, what will you get? Oh, that wonderful explosion of creativity, anti-bureaucratic, sexual liberation, and so on. That's for me precisely the least interesting part of 68. That's the 68 which was perfectly integrated into today's ideology.